So as you can tell by the title, this video is going to be about the overhead press. The overhead press is a lift that I have a love-hate relationship with. And by that I mean I love it and it absolutely fucking hates me. I want to get stronger at it at any cost. I really do. And currently my 1 rep max at the overhead press is 155 pounds at a body weight of 190 to 95. Which is kind of an abysmal ratio, not very good relative strength there, and I am still under a body weight overhead press. My goal eventually is to achieve a 1 times body weight overhead press, and as somebody who isn't naturally a strong presser, at least vertically, that is a tall order. Now, I've been lifting for about 4 to 5 years, and again, my 1 rep max at the lift is 150 pounds, and it was not an easy 155. And I really had to fight for it. Now, when I first started taking the overhead press seriously, I got to 135 and it was a struggle. That's how you know you're not genetically inclined to be good at the lift. If you can't put up a plate very fast, then you are going to have a long road ahead of you, and you just have to decide whether it's worth the trials and tribulations of getting bigger and stronger with the overhead press. I think it's worth it. So, the goal is going to be to get to 185 pounds. That's a strength standard that I want to reach. I know that a lot of the advanced, dudes in the natty community and the noble natties, they're out here hitting 225, 240, whatever. They're up there. But I don't necessarily care about getting that strong. I just want to be able to do at least 185, a plate and a half. I just want to reach that point because I think that if I do, naturally every single press is just going to get stronger, right? That's going to include flat bench. That's going to include incline bench. The overhead press is going to build all that. So I think that if I just pursue this fervently and achieve that 185 pound overhead press, I'll eventually get things like a 315 bench press and whatever other pressing strength standard I want to reach, because it's just that goddamn good. And because it's such a weak point for me specifically, getting it stronger can only, benefit me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check in with you guys on a weekly, maybe bi-weekly basis and go over any PRs that I hit on this lift. Right now, the most recent one, the 155 1 rep max, was a recent PR. And so that's my current 1 rep max. I've hit a couple volume PRs as well that I'm going to just kind of document in this video and look back on as the weeks go on. So currently my AMRAP with 135 for the overhead press is 6, very close to 7. So currently though it is 6. I've done 3 sets of 1 with 150, which is also a PR. I've hit 145 for 3 sets of 3, also a PR. And then I've hit 100 pounds for 4 sets of 10. That's a volume PR on that. And then for my AMRAP with 100, I've hit 16. So anytime I break these, anytime I make any headway, I'm going to just go ahead and document it, make it into a little video, and check in with you guys, and just kind of have you along with me through the process of figuring this out, because it is not a simple endeavor for me, and I think it would be very enlightening, this kind of thing, because we all end up seeing the end product on YouTube, a lot of times, especially with the lifting. People show you their highlights, their PRs, but they're not really showing you the in-betweens, how they got to that point. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting to document, and could be valuable to everybody else here who has, the goal of achieving a strong overhead press and getting big, juicy delts along the way. And I mean, that's mainly why I'm doing it. My shoulders are kind of a weak point in my physique. I don't know if it's all that apparent anymore. I think they've definitely gotten better. But I really want to bring them up relative to my chest, relative to my arms. They're lacking behind quite a bit. I don't mind them being smaller than my arms, but at this point they're dwarfed, and it's getting kind of a little too much of a skewed towards the arms balance for me. I'm not liking that too much. So I really want to get them bigger, and the overhead press is a great way to do that, especially if it's something you're not genetically strong at. And though I've always noticed anybody who's got big shoulders is strong at the overhead press, and anyone who gets strong at the overhead press gets big shoulders. I think it's just an inevitable fate for those that go down this path. Now that being said, I'll break down some programming principles I'm applying currently, and how many times, say like my frequency for the overhead press currently. I'm doing it 2 times a week. Maybe I'll end up doing it 3 times a week if I have to, but right now we're doing it 2 times a week. Going heavy on one session primarily. I'll either do, maybe a single, or I'll do a 3x2, 5x2, 4x4, whatever sort of rep scheme. And then I'll do a back offset or 2, some volume in there. And then next week is more light stuff. We're going for the rep range of 8, 10, 12, maybe 14. Really getting the volume in, really getting that the groove of the movement down. The main assistance movements I'm using for the overhead press currently are the incline bench and just incline pressing variations in general. That's going to include obviously the incline Smith machine, which is what I'm using right now. And then I use the machine shoulder press as well to just further emphasize hypertrophy in the shoulders, because I'm somebody who literally cannot get enough of that. And then I'm doing a lot of emphasis on triceps, lockout specific movements like V-bar press downs, JM presses, skull crushers, just going heavy on my arm accessories. I need the triceps in particular to get very, very well developed. I've made a lot of progress in this area, but no matter how big they get, no matter how strong they get, I still have a lockout issue, so I'm just going to keep hammering them, and whatever happens, happens. As far as that goes, currently on the JM press, I'm doing like 145 for 3 sets of 10. I've done over 100 on skull crushers currently. So I'm just going to keep pushing that. And to get to the 185 pound overhead press, the time frame I'm setting is 1 year. Now that is a little optimistic, knowing how this movement works and the fact that I'm only at 155 right now. That would require that I add 30 pounds to my overhead press in a year, which is pretty insane progress for this lift, guys. But because I'm at such a, I don't want to say weak, like 155 is like okay, all right, that's pretty good. To the general population, that's amazing. Most people can't even get 100 over their head, and we're talking about grown men. So if you can get 155 over your head, I'll give myself some credit. That's all right. That's pretty good. All right, that you could theoretically stop there and like lean out, and your shoulders would be pretty good. But obviously, who wants to do that, right? I really want to go for it at this point. I'm too deep into this to just stop at 155. Like, I gotta keep going. So 185 it is, and yeah, 1 year is the time frame. And I'm gonna check in with you guys again weekly or bi-weekly, just whenever something interesting happens with this lift, and just kind of let y'all know what I did, how I got to that point, how I'm achieving these PRs. If the overhead press is a point of interest for you, this is going to be a great series. This is going to be amazing, because I'm going to be right there alongside you, fucking piecing this together, figuring it out, because God, it is a miserable experience, to say the least, getting every 5 pound PR with this damn movement. Anyway, that's going to be about it for this video, just kind of the introduction series to the road to 185 overhead press. Alright, the goal's going to be getting juicy, boys. The goal's going to be getting juicy, big old shoulders. Let's see what they're looking like right now. A little documentation from the back. Trying to get this more shapely, more sweeped. Kind of have it not too shabby right now. A little bit of striation going on, even though I'm a chunky boy. But yeah, so we're going to be looking to improve this as much as we can. See what the other side looking like. The lighting's not as good on this side, so there we go. Get it big. All right.